Hello and welcome back to New Game Plus TV on tour. We're here in Melbourne. I'm Jack. I'm here with Em. How you going, matey?
I'm doing well. I'm so happy to be here.
Just happy to be here in Melbourne. Though we're not going to be in Melbourne for long. We're heading back to Japan for Bitsummit and a little bit more that we'll come to in just a moment. But we're going to Japan, and this was your first trip to Japan. I kind of want to ask a little bit about what your expectations were about going to Japan, because Jason has been over a dozen times. We're getting close to 24 now. I've been quite a few times, but this was the first trip that you'd ever gone not with family and also to Japan.
Yes, both of those things.
Yeah.
I think I wasn't expecting the amount of wet heat that was there, which was so fun to experience. I think I always had a vision of like going during cherry blossom season. Yep. I thought I was going to get to wear some like cuter outfits.
Oh, right.
And it was just survival mode. It really was. So
I distinctly remember you hunting for a cordless, like a battery operated, I think hair straightener it was.
Yeah. Well, no, I got a mini hair straightener from Priceline that had the 2 prongs in it because of the adapter. It was useless. Don't bother. Don't bother. If you're going in summer, don't bother. Invest in a good pair of walking shoes is what I will say, because I learnt the hard way.
Yeah, I mean, you do a lot of walking, like an insane amount of walking. I think we would get around 15, 20,000 steps on the average day.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
I think the most we did was the day at Fushimi Inari. Inari.
Yeah.
That was like 20,000 something. Wow. So yeah, no.
Jesus.
Wasn't even worth it at the top. It wasn't even a view.
But we're heading back to Bitsummit. Last episode I was with Jason at Bitsummit day 1. We're heading back for day 2 now. And it was, your first time to Bitsummit. It's an independent games festival. So if you've been to PAX Australia, it's kind of similar to the PAX Rising section, but just sort of more PAX Rising, I guess.
I think so. I think there was a lot of focus on like a lot of indie devs. There was some Australian presence there, which was really nice. Yep. I think I remember on day 1 noticing like a lot of focus on like family stories. Like that was a big theme that kind of came up with a lot of the Japan IPs. Yep. But yeah, no, it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. It was a good first time.
And apart from the wet heat, it was, I think, a good time all around. And of course, we talk about drinks by the river. And indeed, maybe after we film this, we're going to go and have some drinks by a different river, but it still counts. But before we head back to Bitsummit, we're actually going to go to Tokyo. Now, in Tokyo, there is a secret bar. It's called 84 Hashi. And we're going to speak with Hashimoto-san, the founder of 84 Hashi. He's a fascinating bloke because he worked at Nintendo for like a very long time. He's worked in, a while. And then he worked in games a little bit more outside of Nintendo. But he's got all of this memorabilia from Nintendo, his time at Nintendo, signed by a lot of the developers, which make them even more valuable. It's a really, really fascinating place. And, the theme in Japan is always drinks. Drinks by the river, drinks in a cafe, whatever.
I was hungover. Cheers.
Cheers, love drinks by the river. But interestingly, this cafe bar, it's called like a gaming cafe, but it's sort of a little bit of both. It's a secret one. So it's somewhere in inner city Tokyo, but the actual address isn't widely publicized. So you've kind of got to know someone to get in. So I guess you know New Game Plus now, so I guess you could hit us up on, just DM us at New Game Plus TV. But
what I liked about it though, because I remember saying to you like, oh, how does nobody that go like leak the information? So it's like a nice community that I think has developed, which is very nice.
So 84 Hashi is right off the bat, and a little bit later we're going to head to Bitsummit day 2, New Game Plus TV on tour in Japan.
That's it.
Let's get into it.
僕は橋本です。長官と呼ばれてます。任天堂で働いていて12年。その後、ゲームのコンサルをする会社をやって8年前からこの橋っていうお店をやってます。僕が社員なので、会員制で友達だけを来てもらうような形でお店をスタートさせて、やってたんだけどコロナが来て、もう店を閉じて、でそのまま閉店してもよかったんだけどまだまだ 世界中の人にここを見ていただきたくて、今逆に世界の人にこれからもずっと世界中のゲームが好きな人に見ていただきたいなと思ってます。2つあって、1つは僕のコレクション、任天堂の時からもう何十年も前から、捨てずに持ってたものがあります。でもう1つはお店を始める時に、エールをください、僕に元気をください、サインくださいっていうので絵を描いてもらったりサインを描いてもらったものが飾ってあります。その2種類がここにはあります。難しいよなぁ。なんだろうなぁ。いや本当難しいんだよな。でもまあまあスーパーマリオブラザーズのカセット、ロムカセットに、貼るラベル、シール、貼る前のカセットに貼る前のシールが多分貴重なので、それは大事なものです。今何人ぐらいかな、350人ぐらいに来てもらっていて、一番印象に残ってる、やっぱこれ忘れられないのは1人目の人、一番初めてこのツアーサービスを始めて一番最初に来てくれた人、彼のことはもう多分一生忘れないかな。フィリッポさん、まだ日本に入ってくるのが難しい時期で、その時期だったんだけど、まず見つけてくれて、箸を見つけてくれて、でしかも、日本に来てくれて、ここまで来てくれて、でもう僕は箸ツアーを始めたけど本当に人が来てくれるのかなとか不安だったんだけども、その彼が来てくれたことで大丈夫だなって思ったので、それが一番です。もうちょっと多くの人に来てもらいたいというか、まだまだ箸のことを知らない人が多いので、見つけて来てほしいなっていうのが一番。あと宮本さんに来てほしいかな。
G'day friends, Cringe and M here. Cheers.
Kanpai.
Day 2 at Bitsummit. Bitsummit so far has been very much a good experience.
Yeah.
It's not been too busy.
Yeah.
The business day yesterday was pretty laid back, I think.
I think so. I mean, even today it definitely wasn't as crowded.
But that's it. I was really worried that it was going to be like super packed.
Yeah.
But then last night as well, it's kind of nice in that this is a consumer show as much as it is like an industry kind of show.
Yeah,
so it has the business day and the consumer days.
Yeah.
So last night, my favourite part of Games Week in Melbourne is, let's say, networking. I like to go
Drinks
out.
by the river.
Cheers. Last night we were on the river and a bunch of devs were there, and it's a really fun way to kind of meet a lot of people that you end up seeing back at the show floor. This morning I was a little bit ruckus, I think it's fair to say.
That's a very diplomatic way of putting
okay.
it. Yeah.
I mean, did you have anything more visceral?
No, I
in
was
mind?
hungover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been able to kind of, even with a slightly bigger crowd, it's not a big crowd, with more going on the show floor, we've been able to kind of see
I
more
will
games.
say too, I think I was saying this to Jason, I liked the fact that Friday was a whole industry day.
100%.
PAX does like the early hour in the morning.
It's 1 hour,
which is nice, but I don't know, I felt like having an entire, like I would like to see that adopted more with PAX and Australian stuff, like just as a personal thing.
I think for PAX in Australia it would be more a financial thing, because if you're not getting tickets in.
Yeah.
But we've been playing a lot of games. We haven't had many business meetings.
No.
We've been playing a lot of games though. Right off the bat, Peglin. Pachinko roguelike, it is described as. When we walked past it, you were like, that's Peggle.
Peggle.
That's Peggle.
Love Peggle.
Let's explain the premise. It's Peggle.
Yeah.
but points you get from the Peggle board
Yes.
do damage to enemies that you're fighting as part of a roguelike in the top part of the screen.
You can upgrade your orbs and abilities throughout.
It's good fun.
Yeah.
It's a very easy convention game, I think.
I think so.
Because we've played like some more involved like simulation and strategy games here at the show, and that can be quite intense to try and get into the mood for.
Yeah. Oh no, and I'm always a fan of like stuff that you can play casually,
Yeah.
and I think that had that appeal where it was like you don't have to have like a massive investment in
No,
it.
totally.
It wasn't 2-player though, was it? It was
No,
single-player.
so I mean, you were wanting it to be 2-player,
Yeah.
but I don't really think the Peggle or pachinko or all the rest of it.
Well, because me and Jason played the G mode stuff.
Oh
So
yeah,
I was like,
so you're like
ADD brain,
everything
warrior
co-op.
wear, yeah. Like, it's like I want that.
But so the localization issue around pachinko is that locally in Japan it is very like attached to gambling,
Right.
even though it's technically not gambling.
Hang
Whereas
on, so clarify for me,
Yeah.
pachinko parlors, are they legal?
they're legal, but they operate in a way that might seem unusual to foreigners. Actually, on that point, we spoke with one of the game's developers, Dylan, about how they came up with the game and some of the feedback they received at Bitsummit.
My name is Dylan. I'm the founder of Red Nexus Games and the designer of Peglin. Originally the team was just 2 people, so a little bit of everything. And we're up to 7 now, so it's kind of distributed some more of the role, but also added some leadership capabilities in there. We started it at a game jam in 2019, worked on it on the side of full-time jobs for about 1.5 years, and we've been full-time on it now for about 2 years. In Canada and the US, pachinko, people either don't know what it is and they're curious and they come by and ask about it and it's a good icebreaker, or they kind of have this vague idea that it's like, physicsy. They think of like Plinko from The Price is Right. They know that things are bouncing around, and so it's just got this kind of fun, gamey connotation. When we landed in Japan, one of the first things that we did was go to a pachinko parlor because we had to see it in action. And it's much, much different here than it is like perceived back home. Whereas here it's much more like very gambling heavy, very like slot based, it's been really, really interesting to see. Not as much negative connotation from like attendees on the show floor as we were maybe expecting. We do hear like, oh, pachinko, and then they'll stop and like take a look and see, what elements we've taken from it. But yeah, it's certainly something that we'll be discussing with our localizer when we get home. Like, maybe here we should call it like a pinball roguelike, and it's not 1-to-1, but at least we're avoiding that like gambling aspect. I've been loving the convention so far. Like, I've never been to one that has been so indie focused. There's just so many, like, we just feels like we fit right in instead of kind of being nestled amongst the like AAA games and the big players. So that has been really, really cool. The reception has been really neat. Really good blend of people that, haven't heard about the game before, but kind of love the look of the art or are curious about it, and people that have like been playing and loving it. We had a family come by this morning, family of 4, and they showed us their like family group chat. And for like days, all they've been doing is like sharing screenshots of Peglin, like sharing strategies. And they came in and beeline straight for the booth just to like say hi and like meet the developers, and like, that was really, really cool. Peglin.com is probably the best one. That'll redirect you to rednexus.games, which is our main company site. The game is available on Steam and Android and iOS, and then we're working towards those console releases.
G'day friends, Cringe and M here. Cheers.
Kanpai.
Day 2 at Bitsummit.
I played a little bit of Viewfinder.
What's Viewfinder?
The PlayStation booth. It's like a puzzle game, and you have to like take photographs and sort of like manipulate it to like distort the reality, I guess, and then you can like place the image and then walk through the image. Like it's it's a little trippy. Yeah, you kind of have to like figure out like what angles to place the photos. I like probably only played 10-15 minutes of it, so I didn't get like a massive look into it, but I liked it. Like I liked the way that it made my brain kind of work. Yep. Like I had to like rotate the picture and like, because you can like jump on the image and like figure out like a way to get to you have to like get to these teleporters.
So you craft the world by taking a picture.
Yeah. And I wasn't really sure what the sort of narrative elements of it were.
Right, okay.
Because it kind of just like placed you in, because it was a demo.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, no, gameplay wise, it was a lot of fun. What else have I played? I played a little bit of now I don't know how to say it, Nour, Nour.
Yeah.
It was at the PlayStation booth. Another one where you it kind of reminded me of like Astro's Playroom in the sense that it's like, this is a glorified tech demo.
Right.
But it is fun and trippy, and like so many of the captions, like it was like food, like you just manipulate food. It's about playing with your food.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
It was on a little bean
totally.
bag.
Like it is a little bit tech demo-y, but I also like that it's cute and gimmicky.
100%. I would love to just
sounds like gimmicky brackets, not derogatory.
It's one of the ones that you put on like at the point in the night after you've played Jackbox with everyone.
when everyone's left the house.
Yeah,
like,
everyone's
you've
a little
all
hazy.
your friends out.
Yeah.
And you're like, I need to cool down.
100%. Oh yeah, totally. But then it also is like sensory overload because
Oh really?
so many of the captions were just like, this food can endure. Like just made like no sense. Like Galaxy Brain.
Yeah.
So, but it was fun. I enjoyed it.
I've played on food, I suppose. On food. Cuisino.
Oh, I didn't play that one.
Still don't really know how to pronounce that one. It's like a little kind of a dungeon crawler.
Right.
So it's like a top-down dungeon crawler.
Love.
You fight with a spatula.
Sold.
That already sold.
Yeah.
But it's got this kind of two sides to it where you have the dungeon crawling stuff and you get ingredients and you get materials and all the rest of it, and you go back to the town afterwards and you run a restaurant.
Ooh.
And so you use all these materials to buy furniture for your restaurant, you use all of the food to be able to cook meals when customers come in and order.
Love.
And so there's like a lot of different systems at play. The dungeon crawling side of things is quite straightforward, I will admit. There are a lot of smaller enemies. I didn't come across any boss battles in the demo I played. There are a lot of smaller enemies. It's like that crowd control kind of thing that you would see in like Diablo, where you just like don't get overwhelmed, like know how to spatially.
But there's enough to sort of keep you on your toes.
Yeah, well, it's fun enough.
Yeah.
I got 3 levels in and I was like, you know what, let's go back to the village. And then you go back and you have different characters to kind of work with. They'll craft things for you, they'll give you quests, all the rest of it.
Can you build relationships? Are there like sort of narrative elements?
Not that I saw.
No?
Well, I mean, there are narrative elements, but not relationships, I suppose.
Okay. Because that's my thing in Stardew Valley. I'm just like, wife.
Yeah.
Immediately.
A little bit different. Visually, bright ass primary colors.
Camp.
Beautiful character art. 3D models are quite cute as well. So yeah, I rate it. We've gotten through most of the games we've played at this point. This is your first trip to Japan.
It is. We're in Kyoto.
This is your first international games convention, as someone in the industry, as it were.
Women in games.
Wig.
Wig.
Let's. Boots tea, yeah.
This isn't for you.
No.
Wig.
I guess, how has your experience been so far, besides I love the fact that I'm finally in Japan? That's true.
It's been genuinely like surreal. Like, because you know personally that I'm like, I didn't think I would ever make it to Japan. I've had like a very tough
You had 3 different attempts over COVID years.
Yeah, no, this would have been, if this trip hadn't have gone through, this would have been the 3rd time that I wouldn't have gone. So it's just, it's like, I don't want to get like too sappy and personal, but it's just like, it genuinely has hit a lot of levels for me because I'm like, it's my first trip not with family.
Yep.
So I like that I'm surrounded by good people. Like Jason's been amazing, you've been amazing. You got my business cards
We
made.
know what we're doing. That's the other thing.
You know what we're doing. I feel incredibly safe. I feel incredibly supported. I feel like I'm at a good point in my life, friends-wise, which is really nice. Cool. And yeah, I don't know, I've had like a tough couple of years, and this has been like a big bucket list place for me.
Yep.
So just being here, and like, I guess coming here and getting to like do a little bit of work while I'm here feels like I'm sort of earning it a little bit too, like in a way.
And we've still got plenty to do as well, because we flew into Tokyo, came straight out to Kyoto basically.
We did,
And so we're heading back to Tokyo in a few days' time after Bitsummit.
But no, I'm loving it. Like I can honestly see, I mean, I've only been here like, 3 days?
Yeah.
But I can honestly see like why you guys want to uproot.
I'm just so obsessed with it.
It's just like, there's no litter on the streets. I think I was talking to someone last night and I was like, because there's no trash cans anywhere. But I was like, oh, I would think with the fact that there's no trash cans that I guess people would be more inclined to litter. And he was like, well, you know, people care here. And I was like, oh, yeah.
Wow, rough.
Wow. But like, because I mean, I don't litter back in Melbourne, but I'm just like, because my brain is wired that way, you know. But I was just like, it's just like nice.
I guess on Bitsummit, thoughts about the event generally. PAX is really the most that you've done in Melbourne, in Australia.
I've done
how
like
does
some
Bitsummit,
game jams.
as far as vibes go?
I was thinking about this today. I've really enjoyed it, and I also think like it's interesting to see, because this is obviously the first international convention that I've done.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see like thematically what kind of games and stories are like on display compared to Australia.
Versus Australia. Yeah, of course.
I think I've noticed a lot of like stuff about like family relationships or online dating or like stuff along that line, which obviously happens.
It exists
back
in
home.
Australia, but there's not as much of a focus on it.
So it's just been interesting to see, I guess, like visually too, like what kind of marketing, I guess, is like on display.
How they kind of stand out here compared to Australia.
Because in general, like I guess Japanese, Southeast Asian marketing is like very different to Western culture. So that has been interesting from like a nerdy standpoint. But what else? I've really liked it so so Like I'm.
Also, as a lover of indie games, I feel like some of the course makes a lot of sense to come to.
And that's the thing. Like this is apparently like a big bucket list convention for a lot of indie lovers and indie developers and stuff. So it's also been nice to see a bit of an Aussie presence here as well.
Yeah.
Like we've got League of Geeks, we've got Witchbeam.
Yep.
There's another one as well.
There are a few other developers from other studios that are just kind of around. So it's good to kind of see some familiar faces around, certainly.
Yeah, totally.
And I've had a great time. I think I prefer this over Tokyo Game Show, I would say.
So that's the next one I've got to go to.
Yeah, look, Tokyo Game Show is one of the big bucket list ones now that E3 has kind of been knocked off.
Well, yeah, because E3 is it's such a different
But it's probably not coming back now.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, cool. Tokyo Game Show,
yeah.
Gamescom in Europe,
yeah.
and maybe E3 if it does come back, are the big ones. But I'm keen to do Gamescom next year.
Yeah.
TGS, I've done twice. AAA games are kind of like fine. I always love the experience of playing indies and meeting indie devs more. And I think that's been really fun at Bitsummit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we'll see you at the river.
That's it. Going down to the river, having a few drinks.
Oh my god.
Having more than a few drinks.
Oh yeah.
Cheers to that.
Shit, kanpai. Sunny's fell. Hi. New Game Plus.
And that is a wrap on day 2 of Bitsummit in Kyoto, and a little bit of a checkout of 84 Hashi, the secret gaming bar that you need to know a guy to be able to get in. But at least we have these really cute passports now that get us access.
We do. I totally forgot about the passports. Oh my god, I'm so excited to get stamped again.
Going to be good stuff because, I mean, we're not in Japan right now as we're filming this, as you probably could tell given the skyline of Melbourne is in the background, but we do love going back to Japan. I guess, what is top of the list of things you're keen to see the next time you're in Japan?
I would love to do the Nintendo Museum when that is finally up and running.
Yeah.
And I would also love to do the Deer Park because I had tonsillitis and I couldn't go this time.
It's all right.
So, yeah.
Well, it's good to have more things to get back to. There's always going to be more things because it's such a vibrant, busy place as well.
And skier.
Oh, and skier. Beef bowl, gyudon, rock and roll. A cocoa curry. Oh, don't. It's fine. Donkey. Dun. So there's plenty of things to do in Japan, but that is all we have for you on this episode of New Game Plus TV on tour. If you missed part of this episode or want to catch up on previous episodes, you can head to the website newgameplus.tv and check us out on social media on Instagram, Facebook, and X, I think we're still on, at New Game Plus TV, maybe Blue Sky. Just look it up. Just Google it. Just Google it. And of course, on YouTube, you can catch up on the full episode, youtube.com/New Game Plus TV. And thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.